Are we live yet? I think that's the
It says live in the upper left corner.
we're
We are
live.
absolutely
Okay.
live.
Oh, great. We're
Welcome
live.
everybody to the High and Empowered podcast movement. If anybody, by the way, just quickly in our podcast, Tamara or OGG,
Hi.
hello. In a little while, as each one of us are talking, I think it might help to mute your mic. Just that way we don't get the reverb. Just making sure we're covering all bases today because I was having a lot of connection issues. But I'm here now, and I'm very excited. Welcoming everybody. And today this is really exciting, and I'll tell you why. We have the OGG. We have Candy Craney on the show, which is our foremost subject matter expert on psilocybin, psychedelics, mushrooms, cannabis, education, healing. Wow. And we have Dualistic Unity, Ray and Andrew on the show as well. So just super pumped on many different fronts. And wow, so let's get started. I want OGG, Candy Granny, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi. I'm Tamara McKelvey, the Candy Granny and OGG Candies. I love what I do, and I hope to help make you happy.
That's beautiful. I love that. Everybody probably knows I'm Ray, so-called, and this is Andrew, and we co-host the Dualistic Unity podcast with two other lovely people, Amanda and Jackie, and we recently started podcasting actually in person. We've been doing it for 2.5 years remotely, kind of like Oren is doing right now. And Andrew has recently decided to relocate up to my end of the world. And so now we are doing weed reviews. We've done 2 in the last 3 days because, of course, we can actually try the same strain. It was difficult to do so. He was in the States. I was in Canada. So now we can do that. And it's been fun. We had one yesterday where we smoked a strain called Jean Guy, which I'm sure you're both familiar with, but many people might not have tried it out. Great sativa dominant strain. We went bowling, blacklight reactive bowling. We made chili. And then we watched a kung fu movie at the end of the day. It was a really good review. It's like here's a good weed. This is what we did with it, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, really showing the experience of what's what we do, and we're a little bit baked because most reviews, that they're just people smoking in their room and sharing, sitting, not getting out there, and so what we're all about is getting into the experience of it.
So I didn't know. So now you're relocating where Ray is. So the two of you guys are gonna be living close to each other.
Oh yeah. Because it just makes sense for being able to do more in-person stuff and just.
This is where I'm so excited. You guys are gonna be closer. You're more in person. It's gonna be more personal. I think it's gonna bring a lot more to Dualistic Unity. And on today's show, where I'm so excited to introduce to the Dualistic Unity Network and is the OGG herself. So here in Florida, how long have you been helping to heal and reach people with your type of education and products?
I've been doing this my whole life, basically, but for a serious business, I've been doing it now since 2017. What does that make it? 25, 26? 7 years? Solid straight, I believe.
And you talk at events, you do events, you're doing education.
I do events, I teach doctors, I teach patients. Because of the way our laws are here in Florida, it's very difficult for patients to get the right information. And that's where I come in and I fill that gap because the dispensaries can't educate the clients either. So someone like me who has taken the time to educate herself and, my friends and staff and everyone I meet to make sure that we're meeting the needs of people and helping them with what they individually need, not just what I want to throw out there. My recipes are set for healing. If you get another benefit from them, good for you. Um, but I make them and my recipes are designed so that you feel better and you're happy. And I teach that in groups to elderly and in the villages, doctors, churches, community groups. I've even spoken at 2 high schools because we change our environment by changing our generations. And I don't mind speaking to young people, because if we can give them the right education to begin with, we won't have any problems in the future.
Now, in that, your products that you offer, you in that, because you talk a lot about psilocybins, but also the combination. So
Absolutely.
tell us about the combination. What are you where are you looking to help heal? I want to know the mission. I want to know the why you started doing this.
The truth behind everything that I've started in the last 7 years is because I lost my daughter to opioids, period. And the doctors were trying to force those same drugs on me. And I needed an alternative. Although I grew up in an alternative environment, I really wasn't aware of what was available. So I did the research. I went to college, learned all I could about cannabis. I studied through Ohio University and Miami Psychedelics University so that I could learn what I could learn. And I studied every mushroom I could find. I may not be able to grow them, but I can definitely help people feel better with them. I use a blend of over 20 different mushrooms. And that's important for healing, because a portobello does something that a penis envy, for instance, wouldn't. Okay. And a shiitake will do something, a cordyceps will do something. They all have something a little bit different. Mushrooms have over 500 different compounds in them that affect the body. So by finding out what's wrong with people, where they want to be, we can take and blend those specific mushrooms to help them achieve the goal they're trying to achieve. And that is my goal. My regular blend of 20 mushrooms works so well. Very rarely do I have to custom blend for someone unless they have extreme PTSD or they're going through cancer or something like that.
So I just want to mention that I met the OGG many years ago here in the state of Florida. And oh, OGG, if you could temporarily mute your mic
Oh,
just for a moment. I see. I now hear the difference when Ray and Andrew were telling me that I needed to mute my mic. I can now hear how it comes through. But where I first met the OGG was at an event here in Florida, where he was educating the public, talking about microdosing, talking about changing your life, your mental state through mushrooms. And I'm like, oh, psychedelics, psilocybin? And she's like, well, that's part of it, but that's not the big part of it. You know, it's lion's mane, it's chaga, it's the combination. And that's what I love talking about here on the show.
and
When I talk to the
phase,
guys,
more than just mushrooms.
right, that's what I was saying. It's the combination. Like when I first started talking to Ray and Andrew, we were talking about the combination and how things change and how things happen through the combination of things. Now, earlier, I just want to, guys, I sent to our admin channel on WhatsApp, I sent a link. I don't know if we can QR code that. I would love to show that up here, because if you want more information, you want more direct information, and you want some participation within things, and I want you to check out this QR code when it comes, wherever it may come from. I'm sure I need to figure out shit like that too. But now that I'm on the mobile app, I can't figure anything out. But everything's working, so that's great. So I met Tamra at a point in my life when I was restructuring. I was trying to figure out work-life balance. My brain was shot. I was uncreative, unthinking, unmotivated, even though I was doing all the greatest things I wanted to do. And I was losing meaning of who I was. I was losing my authenticity, which this show has helped bring back to me, where I'm unapologetic. I am being me. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You like it, whatever. It's about my growth and your growth, our growth of learning who we are. So I say all of that. When I met her, I ended up trying chocolates, mushroom chocolates. And since then, it's been a couple of years, and I microdose. I microdose whenever I can to recenter and reset my body, to shoot impurities out of my bloodstream so that I can start afresh, both physically and mentally. So in that, tell us a little bit about microdosing.
Everybody's body's a little bit different. But with microdosing, especially with the blend of mushrooms, you're creating new neural pathways. And if you can stay positive each day, the other mushrooms in the blend help reinforce those new neural pathways that are being created. So what happens then is, instead of that old feeling of you get up every morning, oh God, I got to put my feet on the floor. You wake up in the morning, you go, oh, I get to go eat a piece of chocolate. And you're already excited because you get to eat a piece of Belgian chocolate. And then you eat that chocolate and you're like, great, my day is going to be great. It's, that's it, man. Seriously, when you microdose, you can go anywhere from 0.1, 0.05 to 0.25 to 0.5. It depends on you and your body. I normally recommend that people start with 0.25 on a Sunday morning. See how you feel. See if that's where you want to be. If that's not where you want to be, adjust your dosing, which I teach my friends and customers how to do, so that you can adjust and get that feeling that you want throughout the day. If you study and you work hard, you can change your life with a natural product. And that's what this is designed to do, to help lift you out of the funk and chemicals that our society and world have put us in. You know, I'm going to get on my soapbox here just a little bit. But all the pharmaceuticals that we put in our bodies, we don't have receptors for them, okay? Flat out. They don't change our body, they mask it, as to where working with a quality microdose, you can at this point actually change your body. And it's not a placebo effect, folks. It's real. It works. Um, if anybody has a right to be depressed, it's me. I've lost my child. And yeah, I still have days. Her birthday and the day she died on and Christmas are hard. But guess what? I get through them, and I get through every single day. And I didn't until I started using mushrooms. Until I started using mushrooms, I tried to do this. I'm not going to lie to anyone out here. I tried to kill myself. And guess what? I'll never do it again. And I will help everyone in the world that I can not do that by lifting their anxiety, their PTSD, their depression, all of those things that compile on us in this life that we don't have a way to get rid of, because all of these things have been taken away from us by our government, our cities, our states, and sometimes our own families, ridicule us for what we do. But I look at my life and I look at other people's lives and I go, hey, I know where my life is. Sorry, I have a very protective dog. And he hears me getting excited. But if you microdose, you can change your life. My personal microdose is 0.25, and I do that every 2 days. And then once a month, I do a shaman's dose. And that just helps clear my mind, get my neural pathways strengthened. But what works for you will be different. And all we can do is guide you through that. And that's what I do.
You
I
just
guide
said a
you through
shaman's dose, and I want to ask you a quick question. So, wait, before I ask you about this shaman's dose, and guys, I mean, because Ray and Andrew, y'all have some experience as well with mushrooms and psychedelics and psilocybins and microdosing. I mean, I say that Andrew's done some big runs with some pretty high dose gummies. And so but I want to ask Andrew if he's been having gummies with pectin. I want to ask you, OGG, if having mushrooms from a chocolate is beneficial, or is it more beneficial in other forms? Do other forms change the way my body reacts to it? I want to know about the shaman's dose, and I want to know what you guys know here, because I'm so excited. Okay.
Who goes first? Because you guys know I don't have a problem talking. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I can start with a bit of my my journey through the psilocybin and THC world, but yeah, right around the start of our podcast actually was the first time I ever tried mushrooms. Got into microdosing a little bit, and then tried like half a gram, I think it was, and just really relaxed me a lot. And I started to see the world in a much different way, like kind of opened my eyes up to just like, oh, I'm just here, this is my life right here, right now. And so after that, I was like, wow, I can't believe these are illegal. And I had the social media stuff, so I started talking a little bit about them on there, and then continued to microdose here and there, kind of similar to your schedule you mentioned, Tamara, and then from there, yeah, just like every couple weeks, kind of upped the higher dose, and eventually got to 5 grams. And I was like, that's That's probably enough for now. And that was over the course of like 4 months. And then after that, kind of took a break, and now, do it at our retreats, but, not too often in between. And then, started doing the gummy runs this past year, where I take some weed edibles and go on a run, and for training stuff. So,
But I got to tell you, the main difference is stop using gummies, stop using gelatin. Okay, your body doesn't process gelatin. So what happens is, unless you chew that thing down to the microscopic level, your body can't process it, even in your liver, even in your intestines, which is why I always recommend and use pectin, because your body can process pectin. It's not the same feel, as a quote gummy, but you get better distribution in your body, and you get more of what you're paying for when you buy your products to make your stuff with. So
I'm
all
glad
you
you
do
said
is
that just now, because that's a big deal. A lot of people don't know that they're going to get 25 milligram gummy. You're lucky if you're getting 7, 8 milligrams out of that by the time your liver processes it,
yep.
by the time it gets into your stomach and it's broken down by stomach acid. Pectin means it's going to be distributed into the bloodstream at a 90% rate. That's big.
Yeah,
And I don't know why a lot more companies aren't using pectin-based gummies. But
because it's hard.
you have these available.
It's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to make with pectin. You got to watch your temperatures. You really got to pay attention. You got to use fresh juices. You got to know what you're doing when you do it. So it takes a lot of practice. If you don't have that kind of time, that's where somebody like me comes in, where I can either teach you, help you, or show you. Which all those three things are the same thing. But remember, I make edibles for a living, so my mind's not always clear when I'm speaking like this. But I also know about a thing called sugar delivery. Okay. Back about 6 years ago, I got a hold of the Israeli studies on cannabis, which I read cover to cover. I took that to my chemist and I said, "Hey, am I reading this right?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got this right. Sugar delivers your cannabis faster. Same thing with your mushrooms, faster, quicker. Now, it will not be as long acting, but if you're in a crowd and you're anxious and something's going on and you really need to just calm yourself down, get yourself focused, a quick sugar dose gets you like this within 5 to 10 minutes, because sugar, number one, is sublingual. If you hold it in your mouth long enough, it goes right through to your bloodstream, especially with cannabis. With mushrooms, it's a little bit different. You need to swallow it, get it down as quickly as you can. It goes to work in 5 to 10 minutes, without a doubt. Sugar delivery is another great method. So you've got a fat delivery in chocolate, you've got a fruit and sugar delivery in your jellies or pectin-based candies, and then you've got your sugar rush, which pushes it through your system, short-lived, 4 hours, maybe 5 at the most. But the entire time you're on the sugar dosing, you're going to giggle the entire time because it's very uplifting. Even with your cannabis made that way, it's very uplifting. Now, if you eat 2 giggle sticks, that's your personal thing there. But everybody, again, is different, and your body's going to react differently. When I mentioned a shaman's dose, I really meant a shaman's dose. I'm not talking about 4 or 5 grams. That's what we do pretty much weekly. When I say a shaman's dose, I'm talking 10 to 20 grams with a guided guide, to help reset, truly reset for those veterans who have had severe PTSD and have nightly nightmares. We can work on them through a shaman's dose, between 10 and 20 milligrams, depending again on their body, how much products they already use, alcohol use, pharmaceutical use, because we all know if you're on antidepressants, mushrooms have a hard time combating against them. So we tell you, talk to your doctor, let's see where you're at with those things, and then we can determine what size dose you need for a shaman's dose. There are some doctors out there that are well informed, and there are others who are not. So if your doctor's not well informed, you might want to seek another one. But yes, shaman dosing is great for resetting your brain. If you are so miswired up there that all you think about is your stress, your anxiety, your PTSD, let's just shock the system, get it out of there. You're not going to die, okay? But you are going to die a spiritual death, and you're going to be reborn from those mushrooms, and you are going to see the world in a different way completely. These are things that have been scientifically proven. This is not just me flapping at the jaws. These are real things that really work.
Well, we almost need shocking things like this to
Absolutely.
break our system, break our mind, break our our path of how we do things. And I really feel that. Oh, if you can mute Mike, just for a second.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Sorry. For everybody's benefit, but I really feel things like this. This is part of a journey to find your authenticity. I mean, you don't have to do mushrooms. I'm like, oh no, I can't be authentic unless I do mushrooms. No, and some people it doesn't even affect at all. No matter how much they take, nothing. But that's because, and that's what I want to ask you right now. Why doesn't it affect certain people, like at all? I mean, no matter how much they take, that's how we know this is just something that reacts to our bodies. But why is that? I mean, is there a deficiency? Are we missing something? Is there?
Well, that really does depend, again, on your individual body. 1 in about every 1,000 people lack the enzyme to process psilocybin and certain mushrooms. And there's not a lot you can do about that, truly. It's like some people can smoke as much marijuana as they want, but they never get high. I know a few people like that. A lot of times it has to do with your liver. I know a lot of people who have Crohn's and Crohn's type diseases have trouble processing mushrooms and cannabis. That's where the sublingual comes in. I am a whole fruit advocate because if you extract just psilocybin, you don't have all those other healing compounds. You need all of them to heal your body and your mind, and to reinforce yourself. So when it comes to that 1 in 1,000 person that it doesn't work on, it doesn't work on. They don't have the enzyme. It's that simple. You lack the enzyme. It's not something you can get. You can try a shaman's dose to see. That's normally what I recommend is if you're taking 4 and below and it's not working, let's try to shock your system and see what happens. You never know. You may just wake up your brain. Sometimes your brain has so many heavy metals in it that it can't accept the psilocybin. So that's when you need to start with a non-psilocybin based mushroom formula, which I have as well and can show you how to do, to help clear out all those heavy metals and fats in the brain so that you can then come in with psilocybin and create new neural pathways to make you feel better.
I wanted to ask, guys. Now, I mean, both of you having experience with psilocybin. What is your main form? I mean, do you eat the mushroom raw? Do you have chocolates? I mean, what have you been experienced with?
In my younger days, I used to just chew it for as long as I could, and then I would just swallow it pretty much raw. And now that we're older and we host retreats, we find some people don't necessarily find that as palatable, and so we'll mix it in with just some yogurt, maybe a little applesauce, that kind of thing. It just makes it a little easier for them to take down. But we always deal with microdoses, right? Like, so, I mean, for the most part, it's almost a placebo, how much they're tasting it. It's just like, it's almost nothing there. Just swallow, you'll be fine. But again, like whatever gets us to that point where we're just not feeling so uncomfortable about the experience, especially when it's for the first time, right? It's like, this seems nice and easy. It's like, perfect. Keep that in mind. The rest of your trip's going to be, very much dictated by this is nice and easy, right? So, but that's about all. I mean, aside from that, you can, in whatever form. Admittedly, sometimes depending on where we are, we had to do a retreat in the Netherlands where it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get over there, and so it was powdered. And so we had to figure out what to do with it in that powdered form. And I always find that has a very different effect. And again, probably a placebo, could just be me. But I find that it does, in fact, change a little bit of the high. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about that, actually.
How you deliver will change, flat out. The more fat you put in with your mushrooms when you're going to eat them, the better they're going to process in your body. Okay, especially if you have to eat them. So you fly to Amsterdam, for instance, and you got dry with you. Buy a milkshake, mix it into the milkshake, because you're going to get butter fat at that point. That's going to help, and the milkshake's going to help cover that flavor. Yes, different ways you eat it will make a difference. If you're going to make a sandwich and put mushrooms on it, please use peanut butter, or Nutella. So you've got a healthy nut fat to go with it, so your liver will process it better. Livers like fat, period. They like fat. That's what they do. That's what they're designed to do, your liver. Besides cleaning your blood, it's designed to help you process fats. So if you can Put a fat in there. It works great. If not, use a sugar rush. Buy yourself a nice big orange soda, something nice and sweet. Gobble that dry stuff down and wash it down with some nice sugary drinks. If you don't have the ability to make yourself some candy, just watch how hot you put your mushrooms. Don't take them over 175 degrees and you'll be fine.
I was about to ask if temperature changes
Absolutely.
the effect of what it's able to bring to the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. That's why when you travel, you really want to put it in something that, number one, will keep moisture out and heat out. If you're at home, keep it in a dry, dark container, or make something with it that you can put in the refrigerator or in the cabinet that won't go bad. I
I
like
apologize. You said put it in a warm, safe place. And
you
anytime,
get silly. You got silly, didn't you? I know you did. Warm, safe place. What I mean by that is like put it in a dark, like the dark mason jars. Um, but I got to tell you guys a funny story though. Seriously, I bought these little mints that have mushrooms in them, and I opened it up and I took 2 mints and I put it in the bottom of my purse. And I didn't think, now these are my friends who make these. Okay, so this is why this is so interesting. A month later, I whip it out to go to take another one, and they spored. They were actually growing mushrooms in the container. So if you get a high quality product, it will last you. If you don't keep it away from moisture and heat and light, they could grow if they're made from a high quality, or they could just be bad, period. So light and moisture and heat are your enemy to your mushrooms. They'll just knock your quality right down. Light alone on a dried mushroom can knock you down by 50% in 24 hours. So keeping them in a container. I like the dark mason jars because they work for me because they're brown and they seal tight, and I don't have to worry about them getting moisture or light at that point. I can leave them on my kitchen table if I choose and sprinkle them on food as we eat. So, I mean, you can do so much with this. You can even add it to your gravies. My goodness, guys, seriously, there's so much you can do to increase your health by microdosing every day, every other day, every 3 days, whatever your body needs and where you find that your body needs. You can incorporate it in your coffee, your sugar.
so
There's
it's about
so many.
availability, though, too. It's about
It
availability
is
of
about
product.
availability. And that's where training our younger folks and our doctors, and then changing, and I know I'm going to get political here, changing who we vote for. We need to start researching the people we're voting for and making sure they're on our side so that we don't run into these problems again in the future and that our children can have a healthier life. My grandchildren, 13 and 18, have been microdosing since they were 10. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody, but my grandkids have ADD and ADHD. If it wasn't for the mushrooms, my grandson would have never passed high school, and my granddaughter would not be the fantastic artist she is today. So, if we can put things back in our life that were in our lives 100 years ago, we will change. And the only way we're going to do that is by changing everything around us.
And this
So,
is both using natural mushroom as well. I mean, non-psilocybin, your
absolutely.
chaga, your lion's mane. I make a tea with the chaga, and this opens
Yep.
up neural pathways in my brain that just sometimes I feel like I'm high. I'm telling
Which
you,
is why it's in
when
my
I use
mix.
a
You know that.
combination of non-psilocybin mushrooms, I will feel physically and mentally high and clear. Like you said, you've got to
Absolutely.
do a clearing of the metals in the brain. Tell me about that, just really quickly. I mean, I'm
Well, with heavy metals, you can't create new pathways. You kind of get stuck in the same neural pathways. They literally block the neurons at the end, so they can't release to create new pathways and go this way and go this way. They're just stuck there. So what happens is with all those other mushrooms that we've been talking about, they help dissolve that layer so that those neurons can still do this and go out there and create new and seek new, because now it's going to say, oh no, this has had heavy metals in it. Ooh, I don't want to go there anymore. Let's go somewhere else, because you're feeling better. And when you feel better, you're creating new pathways. It's just like when you make a new road. You got an old road with holes, can't get down it because it's tearing up your front end. So let's change roads. And that's what we do. We change roads to a smoother road. And that's
So
what
what
these
I was
other
saying, it's also
non-medicinal.
about availability, though. When you said, people need to microdose, people need to change their brain. How do they get a hold of these things? I mean, talk to
A
me
reminder.
about
It's hard to find a reliable source. You cannot, and I stress this, guys, please, people out there listening, do not go out in the woods and pick psilocybin mushrooms. Do not go out in cow pastures, especially cow pastures, and pick up mushrooms. They now put fungicides in the cow feed, which makes those mushrooms very poisonous if they even grow. So don't do that, okay? Find a reliable source. Go to cannabis events, go to mushroom events, go to yoga retreats, go to retreats, because retreats and finding a reliable source for your mushrooms is where it's going to be. You unfortunately, you're not going to find them on an open market. You're going to have to find somebody you can rely on that knows what they're doing, that has a steady source and a steady supply. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you folks. It's not easy finding a steady source that you can rely on. So you just got
And
to kind
also,
of feel your way through it. You know, you can always contact me. You can always contact Oren. We will always help you find what you need if we can.
no, and that's the thing. It's about healing. It's about changing the mental perspective. Guys, I want to ask about the retreat. So you have one still coming up very soon, yes?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we got a California retreat coming up near Big Bear Lake on April 11th to April 15th. And yeah, most of what you've been sharing about the mushrooms and the cannabis combo is what we like to include in our retreats. So yeah, they're a lot of fun, and yeah,
There's another one. There's another one coming up in Colorado on May 30th, where we're staying at a place called Kushcation. And it comes with sterilized bongs and papers and grinders, and the clock's set to 4:20 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movie theater, and they know their market. You can tell. Absolutely. So that's going to be the event. That's going to be our second time there. We were there last year in June, and it was an incredible trip. So we're going to be doing that again, and we microdose at these. But we microdose in nice, solid, like simple stages. We'll start at like quarter gram, see how the vibe is for everybody. Because sometimes it's a new thing. Sometimes it's something they've done before. But with everybody relaxed, everybody trying to get out of their own way, there really is like a collective amplification that you feel like all of a sudden it's like I'm relaxing, you're relaxing, boom, we've relaxed so much more. And with a room full of people doing that, it's really quite a magical thing to witness,
Makes for great conversation. Truly does make for great in-depth conversations.
It's true. So, I mean, exactly as Ray just said, do you feel that maybe the mushrooms, maybe the combination of that and the cannabis, helps you get out of your own way? Because, look, for example, when I do mushrooms, if I don't take enough, I subsidize it with more cannabis, like with gummies or edibles, which seem to help. When I say this, look, when you do mushrooms, and I do a small amount, I can do a larger amount later on that day, and it won't affect me. It'll do nothing for me. It may just enhance my ride of sorts. I may even have to wait 2 to 3 days before I take a normal dose, because if I were to do it the next day, I would have to double it up just to feel anything at all.
Depending
So
on your
that same
individual
day,
body, yeah. Mushrooms don't build like cannabis. Some people think they do. And again, that's the placebo part. But if you take a half a gram in the morning, you've got to wait. I'm sorry. You have to wait if you want to get any higher than that half a gram. You can maintain it by taking another half a gram in 3 to 4 hours if you want to maintain that feeling. But if you take another whole gram, you're not going to get any higher than that first dose of half gram. Very rarely have I found anyone who can start at half a gram and jump to 4 grams and have a 4 gram experience. I would, on Enigma, I can do that. That's the only, or Philosopher's Stone, those two things, because they are truffles. They react a little differently in the body because of their chemistry makeup. But for the majority, cannabis you can build, mushrooms you cannot. Every now and then you'll find somebody that can, but again, it's a rarity.
I got to tell you how much I enjoy hearing that, because when I was younger, I went through a very long period of very regular psychedelic use, because I was going through, again, kind of same story in a different way. And going through that, I was experimenting in a lot of ways, and I came up with what I just called kickers, right? And they were always determined by the first dose. Like the first dose set the tone, the kicker just maintained it. So you do like a 3 or 4 gram dose, and then about an hour and a half, 3 hours in, there's another like gram, 2 grams. You're like, wee, and it just keeps you at that nice plateau. You're not getting any higher, but you're also not descending, right? So it's a great thing to do, and we do that at some of the 9-day retreats that we host. I'll have advanced nights where just a few people will stay up past like midnight, and we'll do the kicker thing. And I think the second retreat, we had a night where it was like a 3 gram dose and then a 1.5 gram kicker a couple hours later. And it was a good sized dose with everybody there in the same mentality. It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. But again, it's knowing you're safe, knowing you're safe, feeling comfortable in yourself, knowing you have a good environment, set and setting, right?
And remember, if you ever feel like you've overdone it, just eat carbs. Because unfortunately, we can't grow the pitcher plant here in Florida. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find seeds for it. I can't find cuttings for it. And the pitcher plant is the only known antidote to psilocybin. So the only thing you can do at that point is rush it through your system, and carbs. So if you're experiencing one of those extra nights where you're going to go that little further step and you feel like you've gone too far, eat a bowl of pasta, eat a plate of sugar, eat some rice, but eat carbs, because carbs lift your metabolism, make it run faster, and it'll push the stuff right through your system. So if anybody needs an antidote,
Also,
that's the closest thing you got.
that's important information right there. That's incredible, because there's a lot of people that end up trying it and they try too much. And then they go on these massive trips and they don't want to try it again because they weren't educated in how to try these things. These are great resources. And Granny, I know you have other resources that you're releasing about educational, about how to try, about how to use, about your first time, and walking people through, talking about how carbs are a great way to get it out of your system. But quickly, Andrew, I wanted to ask, have you tried mushrooms and running? Or is it a different experience for you because I don't, how gummies are where mushrooms would.
Oh yeah. I have one I did a 1/2 gram and one I did a full gram, I think. And it was actually fairly similar to, I would equate the 1 gram of mushrooms to like I don't know, 20 milligram gummy for me, at least at my ability to, take it in and digest and whatnot. So yeah, very similar. It was along a beach though. I was in San Diego, so it was super nice. That made it even more fun. But I did have a question regarding the, if you start to feel too high and settling that in with bread and sugar and whatnot, would a fat then prolong that high? Like,
Notice I
I
didn't
want to
say
feel
fat.
even more super high.
A fat
Is there
will,
anything that can amplify
yeah,
that?
if you eat more fat while doing, that's why the chocolates work so well. The chocolates that I use have a fat content that is perfect for processing mushrooms. So, and I took the time to study and learn that. I went and spent a lot of money to go study with a chocolatier, who's a James Beard award-winning chocolatier, so that I could pack my chocolate with just the right amount. The next, again, is that sugar. So if you're eating, for instance, a fruit leather made with mushrooms, okay, and you want to increase the benefits of that fruit leather in the mushroom, yeah, throw a little peanut butter on it and eat it anyway. Throw a little coconut oil on it. I find coconut oil works better than animal fats, but I think that's just because our bodies are made to process cocoa butter better than it is, coconut oil better than it is animal fats. I mean, I eat animals, so I don't have that issue, but some people do. So everything I do with coconut oil, so I don't have to worry about that with people. But yes, if you increase your fat content, if you're using a chocolate, that will help increase it and lengthen it. I find that mushrooms being uplifting and cannabis being somewhat of a relaxant, depending upon where someone wants to be. I love to exercise on 1/2 gram, especially dancing. I'm an old woman, but I still dance. We went to a Afro Man concert on Thursday night, and if it hadn't been for that 1/2 gram of my giggle sticks that I ate, I would not have been dancing with that palm tree for 4 hours. Okay. And I danced with that palm tree. And I mean, I danced, and I'm 60 years old, and I was keeping up with 25-year-olds. And I truly believe that if it wasn't for my microdosing with mushrooms, I would not be where I am today at my age with all the ailments that I have already. So I can't stress enough for people how important it is to microdose. You can choose your method by your body. You know, people microdose with sugar, people microdose with chocolate, people microdose with peanut butter. It all depends on where you are and what your body will allow you to process. If you've got a bad liver, boy, you better be sticking with sugar and not fats. If you've been a heavy drinker your whole life, don't use fat content, use the sugar content so that you get the most out of what you've got. So again, I go back to it depends on your own personal body. Did I answer that okay for you? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, I do want to ask about current research, current integration of integrating alternative therapies, you know, exploring right now how psychedelics, psilocybins, and cannabis can be integrated into a holistic mental and physical healthcare. Because I look at the mushroom side, at psilocybins, not just psilocybin. When I say mushrooms, I'm saying all. Because your combination is with lion's mane, is with chaga, is with I can't pronounce it right now. But there's a whole list of them that are incredible and in use with not with the psilocybins, because I've made chocolates and I've made psilocybin chocolate for myself using penis envy or albino malak or silver surfer, but I've used just my mushroom, and I've eaten them raw as a kid. I went in the fields and they're disgusting. I made a tea. It was disgusting. And it was that fear of that disgustingness that pushed me away from trying, you know, to open up my mind in different ways. When I can get past that flavor, when I can get past that taste, I didn't even think about it now. Now I don't think about that.
It's not just the taste, though, Oren, that you have to worry about. It's the nausea and the diarrhea that psilocybin can cause. And I'm going to go there, okay? I'm a woman. I can go there. The nausea and the diarrhea sometimes can be the absolute worst. And if people don't know about lemon teching and how to lemon tech before they eat their mushrooms, sometimes their experience is not that good, even though they've got a great feeling. Their tummy is still sick and they can't eat. Or if they do eat, they throw it up. When you lemon tech, it helps change all of that as well, because it also helps change the flavor. If you can't eat your mushrooms right out of the ground, then you should be lemon teching so that you don't end up sick. And everything I make, I include lemon teching in. That way I don't have to worry about even my chocolate. People go, how do you do that? Secret. Um, but even my chocolates are lemon teched so that I know you're not going to get a sick stomach. You're not going to have diarrhea the next day, because those are side effects of
This is
psilocybin.
big. No, I've made my own mushrooms, and I'll be honest, my stomach has has gone its own direction and redefined me spiritually. In the sense that that's why me doing it myself, I didn't want to go through that because I don't have the experience of the combination of different mushrooms. I don't know. I'm hearing lemon teching now, and I saw somebody in the comment down here. You can grow your own, but then if you're not able to eat it immediately, if you're drying it, if you're blending it, there's lemon teching apparently, and that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like putting lemon on your avocado so it doesn't go bad. Um, I don't know. I mean, that's how I was looking at it. But that's quite interesting. And so this is so the body can process it a lot better, I take it. So yeah.
It breaks down the compounds in there that actually are what make you nauseous. So the lemon tech takes that away. It literally takes that amino acid and crushes it down and makes it so it's not as active in your body when you go to take it. So, and that's
Now,
important because you want your experience to be a good one and not a bad one. So you'll do it again tomorrow or the next day or the third day, whenever it is you choose to microdose. If it's bad, you won't take it. I've seen tinctures out there, okay, and I've tried them, and they're horrible. I can't hold them in my mouth long enough to be sublingual. And I'm not going to mention any particular products because we all know what they are. We've all tasted them. Um, I want your mushroom experience to be an enjoyable one, not just feeling good. I want you to be healthy in the process, and I want you to enjoy what you're eating. so that you will take it again. Because if you take it again, you get healthier and healthier and healthier each time you do that. But it's got to taste good and it's got to be good for you to do that. And that
Now,
is what I do.
so my question here is about cannabis as well, because I'm a heavy cannabis user. I love cannabis, and I do love mushrooms of all sorts. I fry them, I eat them, I take them, I drink them, whatever. In that, again, it's always the combination. So when we're talking about cannabis specifically, because I use cannabis to help with my pain, to help with my stomach, my microbiome, the gut flora, that controls everything. That's your mood, that's your energy, that's your attitude. It's happening in your stomach. So when I'm taking a psilocybin, when I'm microdosing on my mushrooms, I smoke or I take edibles, and it seems to help the harshness of, because sometimes there's no real hard come down, but it seems softer. It seems like cannabis lays a few pillows for me on either end of my ride. So, where does cannabis come in? How does it help? Does it help? Am I just imagining this shit?
Well, I don't think you're imagining anything because I do a combo bar with both cannabis and mushrooms in it. Um, because some folks get a little too excited on mushrooms, and that's where cannabis comes into play to help calm that down. It also, let's face it, you only have a receptor for cannabis. You don't have a receptor in your body for opioids or anything else. So it's going to go in there and it's going to fill those and help ease your mushrooms through your body. I like smoking one with the other. For me, I was a weed girl first. Okay, it's that simple. I'm a grape gas kind of girl. I love grape gas. I like Granddaddy Purples. I like OGs. There's a lot in cannabis that I like. I probably do more cannabis than mushrooms. I smoke approximately a quarter a day, and I also dab regularly because when it comes to my pain, if it's muscle pain, I use cannabis. If it's bone pain, I use mushrooms. It's that simple. Um, I love cannabis. I started my company with cannabis, with my CBD line. And I did that because I love cannabis, period. I grew up in a commune up until age 5 out in Denver. So I was trimming weed when I was 5 years old. Our little fingers do great with those little snipping fingers. But as I grew up and I got older, I got out of that for a while. But you know what? Life changes you and you change your life. And I'm helping people for them to change their lives. I'm not changing their lives. People come to me all the time and go, Granny, you've changed my life. I like, no, baby, I did not. I just created a product that you chose to take to change your life, not me. I didn't make you do that. You did it. You made that choice, reinforcing.
First, I have to join, but now I have to find the
Find your lighter. Thank you.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, guys. Uh, Granny can only go so long without something to smoke. So you want to just, I forgot where I was. Doggone it, that's so bad when that happens when you get interrupted by someone and you forget where you were.
No,
Okay,
no, you were talking about how
Carlos.
much weed you smoke,
Oh, I
and
smoke a
Granny
lot.
smokes a lot of weed. Oh no, it's a lot of weed. It's a
Lord
lot of
just
weed Granny be
watched me.
smoking.
I smoke a lot of weed, and I dab a lot. But again, the difference between the two, they do work differently in the body. As where cannabis is going to be a more relaxant, go to those muscle areas, the soft tissue in your body. Psilocybin is definitely going to work way closer to your brain, and work on those neural pathways to help your cannabis work better in your body. So depending on where you want to be will depend on where you go. But like I said, I make a great, what we call a CNM bar. And it's a cannabis mushroom bar. And it allows
See, that's the
perfect.
first I hear about that. That sounds exciting.
Oren, I've hid that from you because I know you. I'll never have any in stock. But it's perfect because it truly has 2 grams of mushroom and 100 milligrams of cannabis. So it's perfect for that person who wants to microdose. Now, guys, did you say I could or could not smoke on this? Okay. Sorry.
100% you can.
I
100%.
use Medicaid. Hey, folks, I have a
I've
medical
been
card in the
catching
state of
up on my
Florida,
rolling.
which is where I'm at. So don't worry, I'm not breaking any legal laws.
Yeah, no, we took a good bit of hits before the episode, so feeling nice and torched again. can't do it inside, but
Well,
got our fill beforehand.
On the other hand, we have another interview right after this with a facilitator for Myco Meditations. They do psychedelic meditation or retreats down in Jamaica, I believe, and so they do doses of 5, 10, and 15 grams in their week-long retreats. Yeah, right. So it's a hell of
Granny
a
ain't gonna lie.
conversation.
She likes her 15 grams for a total reset. 15 grams is my total reset. It's perfect.
15.
Holy free holy yo. Oh my God. I mean, okay. I've done, but not 15 grams. I think I would see God. I think I would see the
I met
fractal
God.
universe around me. I mean,
I met God at
but
15 grams. I saw the trees,
but
the
I
people,
think, I
and
mean,
that was
where I
all.
think that's incredibly beneficial, I think in a group, I would be more enticed to try that as opposed to individually. I think it's part of a ritual or as part of a ceremony because I love ceremony. I love ritual. I mean, I just love that shit. But in
Well, I
that,
did that in
I'd be
Costa
more
Rica, so I had a real shaman guide me.
see. That's look. If I'm going to do ayahuasca, that's where I want to be with a shaman. I want to be with a group. I want to make sure that I'm not left to my own devices. And God help us all. That's why I think in a retreat, in a group, I mean, I don't think in the retreat with you guys, I would do 15 grams. I mean, but you never know if that's if we're doing a sweat lodge like that, if but you guys, I think are more mental. I mean, when I say that, you guys get very deep as a community. You're there as support, as a shoulder, as the warmth and energy and frequency. And I think that's what your retreats are. I haven't been.
The mushrooms for our retreats they're more like a complement to the relaxation, because the real work, it's not the mushrooms doing the work, it's you, and the work a lot of times happens in between, those big doses. Those will shift things around, and that's what the retreats kind of are. They shake you up a little bit, and reframe things and give you some space to just be yourself. But then there's a integration period that comes out after, which is why it's great that we have our Patreon and Discord and all that good stuff for people to keep in touch, and we'll create a WhatsApp group for everyone after the retreats. But yeah, it's very much using mushrooms as a supplement to,
So when are you coming to Florida? That's my question. When are you coming and bringing a retreat to my state so I can bring my people to you guys? We can bring in some breath work, because one of my associates does breath work, and she does it really, really, really well, especially when you're microdosing. So I would love to have you guys come to Florida. I know several places we can do this. I think you guys should plan a retreat down here. Come and enjoy the South with us for a little while. I'll even cook for you.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, my only hesitation has always been the lack of legal recreational weed, because I'm Canadian and I don't want to go to jail in Florida.
Private property, baby. Private property.
Does that include Airbnbs?
Dang.
No, I have 7 acres. I ain't worried about it. And I know several
Okay.
other farms that we could work this out on, that are all
At
plant
an
friendly.
undisclosed locations, of course. But
Undisclosed
yes,
location, yes. It would not be disclosed until just before you just fly to Florida, and I'll let you know when you get here where you're going. But yes, I've got several locations that are very plant friendly, both plants. As long as we're not doing anything else, and I don't do anything else,
a burner
then we don't
phone
have
will
to
be
worry
mailed
about
to
it.
you with a code that only you will know that will
Yep.
disintegrate shortly after using it.
Yep. So guys, please, let's talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Absolutely. We should talk about it. We were actually just thinking that it would be nice at some point in the near future to have you on our series, Being High with Dualistic Unity. Perhaps in the next month or so. We got to go to California, but then we'll be back. So it'd be great to have a conversation with you there.
Absolutely. I'm headed to Pennsylvania for the tour, the cannabis tour up there. I've got 3 events I'm doing up there, and then I'm headed up to New York for a week. But I'll be back at the end of April, and I'm only going away for a week in the month of May. So I'm sure we can find some time to communicate then. Guys, it has been my absolute pleasure, though,
Likewise.
meeting you and speaking with you and sharing about mushrooms and their benefits, and cannabis and their benefits, and what it can do when people personally make the choice to change their lives. At least they know there's quality people out here who can help educate them with quality products that will benefit them. And I'm gonna make sure I send you guys something. Okay, make sure you get with Orrin and get me an address.
Absolutely.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
And there's so much more to talk about when it comes to the healing, the psychedelic therapies, the alternative therapies with people that have PTSD, with our veterans. And I know you work with the Crohn's Association or organizations. You've recently won an award. You beat out some master chefs, which I hear
did. I
was
wasn't
quite an
gonna
accomplishment.
brag. I won the East Coast Canna Chef Top Chef Award for cannabis. I also won 2 years ago the Crohn's Charity Service Foundation Award for my work with Crohn's and cannabis and how to distribute it in the body for Crohn's patients. But I wasn't going to brag, but since Orrin brought it up, there you go. Gritty's great.
I mean,
that's amazing. I just wanted to say we just started a new cooking series this week, so it would be great. Perhaps we'll go back and forth with you on the phone and we can do a collaboration where you give us some tips on how to make something, we make it, and then we both post it on social media.
Absolutely. Would love to do that with you guys. I've done a couple of those before, so I don't mind.
That's great.
As you can tell, I'm pretty averse here with the talking thing. So
no, you're awesome. And I'd love to have you on my show again. So look, you're going to be on Dualistic Unity podcast. You're going to be on mine again because there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to get into. I love the fact that this is a place where people can talk. They can talk. They can chat. They can, they can put their ideas out there, their questions. And if you have questions, when Canny Granny OGG is on, ask her. She has the information. There's so much more I didn't ask you. And there's so much more that we've talked about in the past where you can use this to help change your life in combination. Look, and I believe it's the combination of exercise, meditation, authentically finding about who you are. And that's what my show here is all about. High and empowered. We are high. We are empowered. We are powerful. We are amazing. We create the journey without creating the journey, but we are creating the journey. And we're just being it and becoming it. I love it. This is it. This is what it's all about. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Brothers.
Hey, this is fantastic. Thank you again for everybody joining us. We're going to be back here again next Wednesday at 12 o'clock, noon, live on LinkedIn and other platforms. You said one with a D, with a T, with a YouTube,
we are on Twitch, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube Live.
Awesome. So we are findable everywhere. Yep. And again, thank you everybody for joining us for this time, coming to learn, coming to explore. Thank you, OGG, for discussing so openly. That's huge. I love the change. Yeah, no, it's being who you are. And guys, thank you. Your tough schedule. I know you guys are always on. It's crazy. And find Dualistic Unity also on LinkedIn, on InstaChacha, on Facebook, on your Twitch, on the one with the D. I don't know what it is. Yeah, see, there we go. That's good. There's a QR code. Do a little scan thingy. Check in the chat. It's going to live in infamy. This is how you find out about the dualistic nature of our lives. Finding out your true, authentic you and just living, being, and not letting the rest topple down on you and take control. So it's a combination of attitudes and talks and ideals. And this is what fires me up, and I love it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all so much. OGG, I appreciate you, and you can find her through that link. There was a link a second ago for her. Here we go. One last time.
We got it back on there.
There you go.
That link right there.
Awesome, okay?
You stay high and awesome. I love it. Everybody,
awesome, people. That's what we want.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I don't know where my little button is. I had a button.